The council chamber of the Alpha Empire stretched far beyond what any human eye could imagine. High, shimmering walls reflected the cold light of a distant star, and in the center, the great orb floated, displaying records of thousands of planets. The Alpha, the Empire's rulers, were tall and lean, with skin that shifted color depending on their mood. Today, their hues swirled in shades of amusement and condescension. Earth? Hissed Vreth, the youngest of the council members. His voice was sharp and mocking. I barely remember that place. A planet of tiny, fragile creatures struggling to survive in a galaxy that laughs at their name. Fragile? Sneered Elder. Calf, these humans? They barely reached the moon before they tried to kill each other. They cannot even handle their own planet, yet some think they can reach the stars. The council chamber erupted in laughter, a sound that echoed like crashing waves across the vast metallic hall. Each alien imagined the Earth as a tiny, pitiful world where chaos and weakness were law. The humans, in their eyes, were a myth, a story told by outdated explorers who had once stumbled across their blue and green planet. A holographic display flickered to life above the great orb. The image showed Earth from space, a bright jewel surrounded by endless blackness. Clouds swirled over oceans, and continents stood like painted strokes on the canvas of the planet. The aliens leaned closer, eyes narrowing, studying every detail. I suggest a swift strike, said Elder Calth, his voice smooth but full of deadly pride. We send a fleet, crush their defenses, and declare to the galaxy that humans are nothing but legend. Simple, clean, effective. Simple? Vreth laughed, stepping forward. Do you know what I find amusing? Even their own records show failure after failure. Wars, famine, disease. They cannot even protect their cities. And now you want to call them a threat? Calth's eyes glimmered with annoyance, but he hid it. Never underestimate the myth of humanity, he said calmly, though his voice carried a subtle warning. Even myths can surprise you. But yes, this fleet will finish them, and we will laugh as the story ends. As the council discussed, a quiet hum filled the chamber. It was soft at first, barely noticeable, like a whisper in a cavern. Then, the holographic display flickered, and a faint green pulse traced the edge of Earth's orbit. Another system? Vreth asked, tilting his head. It's probably a sensor glitch. Calth ignored him. No, he murmured, leaning forward. That is, something else. Something I have not seen before. The alien studied the pulse carefully. It was irregular, almost like it was moving with purpose. The chamber fell silent. The council members were used to reading signals from across the galaxy, but this one was unusual. It didn't match the energy signature of any known craft, asteroid, or natural phenomenon. Vreth scoffed. It's probably just some atmospheric interference. Humans cannot do anything like this. They can barely keep satellites in orbit. Calth's eyes narrowed. Perhaps. But I suggest caution. The human race has always been underestimated. Perhaps too underestimated. The council debated quietly, tension growing as the pulse continued to grow stronger, but their arrogance remained. They laughed at the thought of tiny humans sending messages to the stars. To them, humans were toys interesting to observe, but not a real threat. Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers away, on Earth, the human fleet was quietly assembling. Hidden deep in space, beyond alien sensors, hundreds of small ships drifted silently. Each one was sleek, silent, and armed with technologies the aliens could not yet imagine. Humans had learned well from their history. Every mistake, every failure, had shaped them into survivors, into fighters who could adapt faster than anyone expected. Back in the council chamber, the discussion continued. We strike at dawn, declared Calth. Earth will kneel before the Alpha Empire. Their myth will die in seconds. Vreth chuckled. And their cities? Their armies? What little they have will vanish like dust. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as Calth raised a clawed hand. "Prepare the fleet. Let them see the might of the Empire and tremble. Let the galaxy remember that no myth can resist the Aether." Outside the chamber, the stars stretched endlessly, quiet and indifferent. And somewhere in that quiet darkness, the humans watched and waited. In orbit around Earth, the fleet pulsed with energy. The ships were small, but the fleet was vast. Each vessel carried weapons designed not for mass destruction, but precision strikes that could dismantle even the most advanced defenses. The humans had learned that arrogance was an enemy. They would not underestimate the aliens, they would exploit it. Back in the council chamber, Calth reviewed the last known records of human history. Humans had barely survived plagues, wars, and natural disasters. Yet somehow they had reached space. Somehow they had grown stronger with every failure. Calth frowned. "Perhaps they are more resilient than we thought," he muttered, almost to himself. Vreth laughed loudly. "Resilient? They are a joke. They are a fable pretending to be real. You worry too much, Elder." But Calth's eyes lingered on the planet below, watching the tiny blue ocean swirl beneath the clouds. He did not speak further, and a shadow of unease passed over him. The council prepared their fleet. Ships were fueled, weapons charged, and war plans laid out in meticulous detail. Every captain knew their orders. Every soldier believed in the Empire's superiority. They expected Earth to fall in hours. And yet, the strange green pulse still pulsed in the distance. "Perhaps," Calth whispered, almost hoping he was wrong. "This myth is not just a story." The pulse grew stronger, brighter, and suddenly, without warning, vanished. The chamber gasped as sensors picked up a strange energy signature leaving Earth's orbit at impossible speed. What is that?" Vreth demanded, panic creeping into his voice. Calth said nothing. His mind raced. The humans had moved faster than any known technology could allow. Something about their strategy, their timing, their patience. It was unlike anything the Aether had seen. The council debated whether to send a scout ship, but Calth silenced them. "No," he said firmly. "Do not react hastily. Let them come. Let us see what this myth truly is before we destroy it." The aliens were arrogant, yes, but curiosity gnawed at them. Even myths had power when underestimated. And somewhere, deep in the council, Calth felt a chill of fear he had not felt in centuries. Far below, on Earth, the humans continued their preparations. Every ship in the fleet was ready, every crew trained, and every strategy planned. They knew the aliens mocked them. They knew the galaxy laughed at their name. And yet, humans did what humans always did. They prepared silently, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. The council chamber began to empty. Plans were made, fleets mobilized, and yet a quiet tension lingered. The pulse had vanished, but its shadow remained. And in the emptiness between stars, something ancient and unpredictable stirred. Vreth turned to Calth one last time. "You worry too much," he said, trying to mask his unease. Calth's eyes were fixed on Earth. "I do not know," he admitted softly, "but myths can be dangerous when they are real." And so the stage was set. The Aether Empire believed they would crush Earth with ease, mock its inhabitants, and move on to greater conquests. But somewhere in the shadows of space, humanity waited, silent and unseen, ready to prove that myths were not always fiction. The first whispers of change moved across the galaxy like a slow wind, barely noticeable but unstoppable. By the time the Aether fleet arrived in Earth's system, the Empire would learn that humans were more than a myth. They were a force beyond reckoning. For now, however, the council laughed, the fleet prepared, and the Empire remained blissfully unaware of the truth lurking in the dark, waiting to strike. And somewhere, deep in orbit, the pulse of the human fleet waited, ready to fill the sky with the impossible. The stars stretched endlessly across the void, silent witnesses to the unfolding drama. The Aether fleet glided through the darkness like predators seeking weak prey. Hundreds of ships, sleek and deadly, formed a shining arrow of power pointed directly at Earth. Each vessel carried weapons capable of annihilating entire continents. Each soldier believed in the Empire's superiority. Each officer laughed at the thought of tiny humans standing against them. Yet, in the midst of their arrogance, a faint anomaly flickered on the fleet's sensors. A small blip, almost invisible against the vast backdrop of space, appeared at the edge of their detection field. "Captain Vran," barked Commander Kalth over the comlink. "What is that signature?" "Report immediately." Vran's voice came back calm but tense. "Unknown, Elder. It does not match any known vessel. Its size is small, but energy readings, unusual. I cannot classify it." Kalth narrowed his eyes. "Humans?" Vran hesitated. "Impossible, sir. Human technology cannot move like this. Not at this distance, not at this speed." Kalth's claws tightened. The first flicker of doubt had entered his mind. But he refused to show fear. "Keep watching. Do not engage unless necessary. And double sensors on Earth's orbit. I want to see every movement." The fleet continued its steady advance toward the blue and green planet. From above, Earth looked peaceful, oceans glimmering, clouds drifting lazily, cities sparkling faintly in the night. The Aether had expected chaos. They had expected resistance. But the planet seemed calm, almost empty. "Pathetic," Vreth sneered. "I see nothing worth our attention. Where is their army? Where are their fleets? Nothing. They are truly a myth, just like we said." Kalth did not respond. He felt something in the back of his mind, a whisper of unease he could not dismiss. Suddenly, the sensors flared. Hundreds of small shapes appeared beyond the edge of the system. Tiny ships, almost invisible, moved with impossible speed and coordination. They appeared and vanished like shadows, tracing paths around the Aether fleet. "What is that?" Vreth demanded, alarm creeping into his voice. This cannot be real." Kalth studied the display carefully. "It is real," he said quietly, "and it is deliberate. Someone wants us to see them." The aliens watched as more ships appeared. They were small, sleek, and perfectly silent. No engines roared, no energy flares betrayed their movement. They drifted in space like specters, surrounding the Aether fleet in a pattern that was both beautiful and terrifying. "Human decoys?" Vreth laughed nervously. "No, impossible. They are too coordinated, too fast, too clever." Kalth did not answer. The green pulse that had appeared in the council chamber days ago now took shape in front of them. It moved like a living creature, weaving through the fleet without warning. Every attempt to track it failed. The pulse darted behind ships, disappeared, reappeared, and then, without explanation, vanished entirely. "Elder," Vran said, his voice low, "they are testing us. Whoever they are, they know exactly where we are and how to avoid detection. This is no accident." Kalth's mind raced. Humans. Could it be that the stories were true? Could these fragile creatures, so often mocked, actually have developed technology that defied even the Aether's understanding? He shook his head. No, it was impossible. And yet, the evidence stared back at him, cold and undeniable. The Aether fleet attempted a maneuver, shifting formation to surround the mysterious shapes. Every calculation was precise. Every movement was flawless. Yet the human ships evaded every attempt. They did not flee. They did not attack. They simply existed. And in their existence, they unnerved the entire Empire. "What are they doing?" Vreth whispered, fear rising in his voice. "Why don't they attack? Why are they just circling?" "US. They are showing strength," Kalth said slowly. "And patience. This is a warning, not a battle. They want us to know that we are being watched." Meanwhile, deep inside the human command ship orbiting Earth, Captain Elias stood on the bridge. The lights reflected off his determined face. "Keep them close," he ordered. "Do not attack yet. Let them underestimate us. Let them think. We are a myth. Wait for the right moment." His officers nodded, moving swiftly to follow his commands. Hundreds of ships remained hidden, cloaked in shadows. Sensors monitored every Alther movement. Calculations were made. Predictions formed. Humans had learned that patience was as deadly as firepower. Back with the Alther, whispers began to circulate among the commanders. "What if they are advanced?" someone murmured. "What if they are not as weak as we thought?" Vreth laughed nervously. "Advanced? Against the Alther? Do you forget what we are? We have conquered hundreds of worlds, hundreds. And you suggest these tiny humans are more than a story?" Calth said nothing. His eyes remained fixed on the display, tracing the paths of the unseen ships. Each movement was precise, deliberate, almost like a message. Humans were not merely hiding. They were making the Alther fleet uncomfortable, forcing them to react. And reaction, in the galaxy, was always dangerous. Then, without warning, one of the mysterious ships appeared directly in front of the Alther flagship. It hovered silently, a small dot against the vast backdrop of stars. Sensors tried to read. Weapons tried to target it, but nothing worked. It was like the ship did not exist. "Impossible," Vreth muttered. They are mocking us." Calth did not reply. He could feel the tension rising. The fleet was uneasy. Officers whispered. Soldiers clutched controls. For the first time in centuries, the Alther felt uncertain. Suddenly, the small ship vanished. And then another appeared, and another. They moved like living things, weaving in and out of the fleet, impossible to track or predict. Every time the Alther tried to focus, the ships were gone. Every attempt to strike failed. This is madness, Vreth hissed. How can they move like this? How can they think like this? They are humans, Calth said softly. And we underestimated them, always remember. Myths can be dangerous when believed real. The pulse returned. A green glow traced a path around the fleet, illuminating every ship in eerie light. The Alther watched in silence, frozen by the unknown. Every calculation, every strategy, every weapon seemed suddenly inadequate. Vran's voice trembled. Elder, they are playing with us. Calth nodded. The feeling he had dismissed in the council chamber now burned brightly. Humans were not weak. They were clever, precise, and patient. They were nothing like the records described. And the Empire had walked straight into their trap without even knowing it. The fleet attempted a new maneuver, forming a tighter formation. Their sensors scanned desperately, and then it happened. Hundreds of ships, previously invisible, blinked into existence beyond Earth's orbit. They moved with incredible speed, forming patterns that spoke of intelligence, planning, and coordination. Beyond anything the Alther had seen. What is this? Vreth gasped. This cannot be real. Calth leaned closer to the display. It is real, he said quietly. And we have underestimated them for too long. The human ships did not attack. They waited, silent, patient, watching. Every alien commander felt it, the weight of something powerful, something unexpected, something beyond their control. Prepare weapons, Calth ordered, his voice calm but firm. But do not fire. Yet, observe, learn, and hope. We can survive what is coming. Vreth's laughter had vanished. The arrogance that had filled him for centuries had been replaced by uncertainty, doubt, and fear. The humans were no myth. They were real. And real myths were more dangerous than any weapon. Far below, on Earth, Captain Elias watched the Alther. Fleet carefully. Every movement was calculated. Every maneuver observed. And then he smiled. The humans had remained invisible for centuries, dismissed by the galaxy as weak. Now the time to reveal themselves was near. "Let them see," he said softly. "Let them see that myths can be real. Let them see that humanity is not to be underestimated." And so, the first glimpse of human power had been shown. The Aether, fleet, mighty, and confident, floated in space unaware of the storm that would soon engulf them. For now, the humans waited. But soon, the sky above the Aether Empire would fill with ships, and the Empire would finally learn what it truly meant to mock a myth. The stars remained silent witnesses. But the galaxy, slowly awakening, began to whisper of a race that had long been underestimated. A race that was about to show the universe the truth. The Aether fleet moved like a shadow through the blackness of space, confident, proud, and certain of victory. Hundreds of ships stretched across the void, their weapons charged and systems humming with power. Each commander believed the humans were nothing but a myth, a story to amuse their grandchildren. And yet, the memory of the strange green pulses, the vanishing ships, and the inexplicable patterns lingered in the minds of the more cautious officers. "We continue as planned," Elder Calth declared from the flagship bridge. His voice was calm, but beneath it lay a trace of unease. "We strike Earth. The humans will scatter. Their myth ends today." Vreth snorted. "Scatter? They do not even have a fleet. I have watched their planet for hours. Nothing moves. Nothing stands in our way. This is a formality, Elder." But Calth did not respond. His eyes flickered toward the sensors. Deep in the blackness beyond the fleet, small dots of light shimmered and disappeared. The pulse had returned. And this time, it moved closer. Vran, the fleet scout, reported urgently. "Elder, multiple signatures detected. Small, fast-moving vessels. They are surrounding us, but they do not engage." "Silent watchers," Calth muttered. "They observe. They calculate. They are humans, clever and patient. Do not underestimate them." Vreth laughed nervously. "Observe? Calculate? They are nothing. The Empire has faced thousands of civilizations. Tiny humans? A joke." But Calth remained silent, his gaze locked on the instruments. The strange pulse, glowing faint green, traced invisible paths around the Aether ships. Every attempt to target it failed. Every calculation could not predict its movement. Then it happened. Without warning, a small human vessel darted in front of the flagship. No engine noise. No energy flares. It hovered silently for a moment, before vanishing like smoke in the wind. The sensors struggled to register its existence. Vreth's laughter died instantly. "Impossible," he gasped. This cannot happen." Calth leaned forward, claws resting lightly on the console. "It is happening, and we are witnessing it." The Aether fleet tightened formation. Every officer on every ship felt a growing unease. These humans, if they were indeed humans, were not attacking recklessly. They were not trying to destroy the fleet immediately. They were silent, patient, observing. And that silence was heavier than any weapon. "Prepare weapons," Calth ordered. "But do not fire until we understand. They are testing us." The green pulse darted again, faster this time, weaving between ships with impossible precision. Each movement seemed to anticipate the fleet's maneuvers, slipping past defenses effortlessly. Every alien sensor that tried to lock onto a ship failed. Every weapon that aimed at it turned to smoke. Vreth turned to Calth, eyes wide with fear. "Elder, what are they? They move faster than thought. Faster than physics. How is this possible?" "They are humans," Calth said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "And we underestimated them." Meanwhile, in the human command ship orbiting Earth, Captain Elias watched the Aether fleet calmly. His crew moved efficiently, silently coordinating hundreds of hidden ships. "Keep them close," he ordered. "Do not strike yet. Let them believe in their superiority. Let them feel secure. That is when they are most vulnerable. The human fleet moved like shadows in space, small ships darting in and out of the Alpha formation. They avoided detection. With perfect precision, every maneuver was calculated. Every path anticipated the enemy. Back on the Alpha flagship, panic began to ripple through the officers. "Elder, they are surrounding us," Vran said, voice trembling. "Small vessels. Everywhere. Sensors cannot track them all. Their speed. It is beyond anything we have encountered." Calth's eyes narrowed. "It is as I feared. They are not reckless. They are strategic. Patient. And they are testing us." Vreth swallowed hard, feeling a cold sweat. Testing us. Why would humans do this? We are their enemy. They should attack or run, not this. "They are smarter than we imagined," Calth replied. "And smarter than most civilizations we have faced. Patience is their weapon. Silence is their strike." Suddenly, without warning, one of the human ships fired. A single pulse of energy, precise and silent, struck the Alpha cruiser at its power core. Systems faltered, alarms blared, but no massive explosion followed. It was a test strike calculated to show power but not destroy. Shields down on Cruiser 12. A young officer shouted, They can hit us anywhere." Calth remained calm. "Do not panic. Observe. Learn. They want us to fear them, but they have not attacked fully yet. This is only the beginning." The human ships moved again, silent as ghosts. Dozens of pulses struck Alpha vessels, disabling systems without destroying the crew. Communications scrambled. Engines faltered. The Empire's fleet realized with dawning horror that these were not random attacks. They were teaching a lesson. Humanity was in control. Vreth's voice shook. They are showing us, what? How fragile we are. How weak we are." Calth's eyes were fixed on the sensors. "No, they are showing us their intelligence, their strategy, their patience, and yes, their strength. Do not underestimate them, Vreth. Never underestimate them." Across the fleet, officers whispered among themselves. Commands were given frantically, formations changed, weapons recalibrated. Yet the humans remained invisible, silent, untouchable. Every movement of the Alpha fleet was anticipated. Every countermeasure was countered. In the human command ship. Captain Elias observed the chaos unfolding. He smiled faintly. "Good. They believe they are in control. Let them feel that. Before we strike." Back in the Alpha flagship, alarms rang continuously. Vran reported, "Elder, we are being outmaneuvered. They are small, yes, but intelligent. They move faster than any fleet we have encountered. And every time we target them, they vanish." Calth did not answer immediately. His mind raced. This was not war as they knew it. This was a silent test to strike of intellect and strategy. Humanity, the creatures they mocked, were proving to be more than legend. They were alive, adaptive, and deadly in ways the Alpha had never anticipated. Then, the fleet sensors picked up a new signal. A massive energy signature, moving impossibly fast, approaching the capital ship of the Alpha fleet. Vreth gasped. What is that? It moves faster than physics allows." Calth's claws gripped the console. "It is a human ship, and it is coming for us directly." The alien fleet scrambled. Weapons charged. Defensive shields flared. Officers shouted orders. But nothing could prepare them for what came next. The massive human vessel appeared silently before the flagship, glowing faintly with energy that shimmered like liquid light. Every alien sensor attempted to measure it. Every weapon tried to fire. And every attempt failed. "This is impossible," Vreth whispered. "No technology, nothing, should be able to do this." Calth's voice was calm, steady, but with a note of awe. "This is humanity," he said softly. "The myth is real." The human vessel did not attack immediately. Instead, it hovered silently, a giant sentinel against the pride of the Althar Empire. The smaller ships moved around it like shadows, each pulse precise, calculated, unstoppable. Vran looked at Calth, eyes wide. They are teaching us, showing us our limits. Elder, what do we do? Calth remained silent. He knew the answer, but it was terrifying. Humanity was no longer a story. Humanity was alive, strategic, dangerous. They had turned the hunters into the hunted, without even firing a full salvo. Vreth trembled. We cannot fight them. Not now. Not like this. Calth studied the approaching human vessel. We do not need to fight yet. Observe, learn, and survive if we can. Patience is their weapon. Silence is their strike. And now we have learned both. The pulse of the human fleet continued, moving like a living thing, invisible yet omnipresent. The Althar had no answers. Every plan, every tactic, every advantage they thought they had was gone. They were trapped in a storm of intellect, strategy, and patience. And in the distance, beyond the fleet, hundreds more human ships blinked into existence, faster than thought, silent as ghosts, waiting for the right moment. Captain Elias, from the bridge of his command ship, watched the chaos with calm satisfaction. Soon, he whispered, they will understand. Soon, they will know what it means to face humanity. Back on the Althar flagship, the officers whispered fearfully, they are everywhere. Calth's eyes were fixed on the sensors, watching the human ships move in perfect harmony. They are not everywhere, he said softly, but they might as well be, and the Empire has just learned what it means to mock a myth. The silent strike had begun. The first real warning had been delivered, and the Althar Empire, mighty and proud, was already trembling before the intelligence, patience, and power of humanity. For now, the humans remained unseen, waiting, watching, and preparing for the moment when the sky above the Empire would finally fill with ships, and the myth would become reality. The Althar fleet had never felt fear. For centuries, they had conquered planets, crushed civilizations, and ruled the stars with unmatched power. But now, in the vast darkness of space near Earth, a new sensation spread through their ranks unaze. It was subtle at first, a whisper among the officers, then a growing tension, as humans continued to demonstrate abilities that defied every known limit. Elder Calth stood on the bridge of the flagship, claws resting lightly on the console, eyes fixed on the holographic display. Hundreds of small vessels circled the Althar fleet, moving faster than thought, anticipating every maneuver. Each human ship was invisible to most sensors, yet they existed in perfect coordination, appearing at the exact moment to disrupt formations. They are organized, Calth said quietly. Their coordination, it is unlike anything we have faced. This is intelligence, strategy, patience. Vreth's skin flickered shades of disbelief and fear. Intelligence? Patience? Humans? They are supposed to be weak, fragile. Their planet is small, their armies tiny, and yet. He could not finish the sentence. The truth was too clear. Humans were no longer the myth the Empire had mocked. They were a calculated force, precise and unpredictable. Vran, the fleet scout, reported urgently, Elder, we detect energy signatures unlike any known technology. Shields adapting to our weapons. Engines moving at speeds beyond our calculations. They are evolving in real time. Calth's eyes narrowed. They are not evolving, they have evolved. We are seeing the results of centuries of adaptation. Every failure, every battle, every disaster they have faced has made them stronger, smarter, deadlier. The Althar officers whispered among themselves, tension growing. Ships that had once seemed invincible now felt vulnerable. Every calculation, every plan, every weapon seemed inadequate in the face of human precision. Then, without warning, the humans revealed a new layer of their power. From the shadows of space, hundreds more ships blinked into existence, forming perfect formations around the Althar fleet. Their energy shields glowed faintly, reflecting sensors and disrupting targeting systems. Each vessel moved with uncanny precision, anticipating every alien maneuver. Vreth's voice shook. How is this possible? They appear and vanish like ghosts. They strike and retreat without warning. Their shields. Nothing penetrates them. Kalth did not answer immediately. He studied the display carefully, watching the human formations. Shift, adapt, and anticipate. This, he said softly, is the advantage of patience and preparation. Every human ship is a weapon of intellect as well as force. They are superior in ways we never imagined. Across the fleet, panic began to ripple. Officers shouted orders, shields flared, weapons recalibrated. Engines burned fuel at maximum output. And still, the humans remained untouchable, slipping past every defense, striking only when they chose to, leaving the Althar bewildered. Captain Elias, aboard the human command ship, watched the chaos unfold with calm satisfaction. Good, he said softly. Let them believe they are in control. Let them see the illusion of power. The moment they are confident, we strike. The humans had not yet fired a full salvo. They had no need. Their silent presence, their ability to manipulate the battlefield without being seen, was more terrifying than any weapon. Every strike that had occurred was precise, calculated, and non-lethal enough to demonstrate their superiority without mass destruction. Vreth turned to Kalth, desperation in his eyes. Elder, we cannot fight them, not like this. Our weapons, our tactics, useless against them. Kalth's gaze remained fixed on the sensors. We are learning, he said calmly, and we must survive. For now, our only advantage is observation. The humans revealed another layer of their strategy. Through their advanced technology, they began to manipulate the Althar fleet's systems remotely. Minor malfunctions appeared, shields flickered. Communication lines scrambled, engines lagged. The aliens attempted to counteract, but every correction was anticipated and nullified. Vran gasped. They are inside our systems. Not destroying, just controlling our own ships. Obeying them. Kalth clenched his claws. They are demonstrating control, not violence. Humanity's advantage is not brute force. It is intellect, adaptability, and anticipation, and we are unprepared for this. The Althar fleet formed defensive lines, hoping to contain the human vessels, but the humans moved with precision, slipping through every barrier. Small ships appeared behind capital vessels, energy pulses struck at non-critical systems, and then vanished again. Every move forced the aliens into a reactive position. Every reaction played into human strategy. Vreth's fear became panic. We are trapped in a web. Every move we make, they know it. Every tactic, predicted. How can this be? How can fragile humans control us like this? Kalth's voice was steady. This is the human advantage. They have turned our strength against us. Their fleet is small, yet they command the battlefield with precision and patience. Every failure in their history has trained them for this moment. Meanwhile, Earth's hidden fleets continued to emerge. Hundreds more ships blinked into existence beyond sensors, forming new formations surrounding sections of the Althar fleet. Each ship carried weapons designed not for mass destruction, but precise surgical strikes. Every pulse tested the Althar's reactions, teaching them limits and weaknesses. Vreth trembled. They are everywhere. They are controlling the battle without firing full weapons. How can this be? Kalth's eyes were cold and calculating. It is as I said. Humans are not merely survivors. They are strategists, thinkers, and adapters. They use patience, silence, and precision as weapons. And now we see it firsthand. The human fleet did not attack fully. They did not need to. The Aether fleet was already compromised, caught in a dance they did not understand. Their pride, their confidence, their arrogance, all eroded under the weight of human strategy. From the human command ship, Captain Elias observed every move. "Patience," he murmured. "They still think they have control. Soon they will realize the truth. Soon the Empire will learn the full advantage of humanity." The Aether began to recognize patterns. Every human strike was precise, every movement intentional. The humans anticipated the aliens' corrections, turning every reaction into an advantage. It was a battle of intellect, patience, and foresight. Vreth's skin shifted rapidly, a mix of fear and disbelief. We cannot predict them. We cannot control them. Every tactic fails before it begins. How is this possible? Kalth's gaze hardened. It is possible because we underestimated them. We mocked them as myth. We assumed weakness. And now we face the consequences. Suddenly, a massive human ship appeared before the Aether flagship. Its energy fields shimmered like living light, impenetrable and brilliant. Smaller ships flanked it, forming a defensive grid. The humans had finally revealed a portion of their hidden strength. Vreth's voice was barely a whisper. They are real, and they are stronger than we imagined." Kalth did not respond immediately. He studied the massive ship, noting every detail. Its energy output, maneuverability, and shields surpassed any known civilization's technology. The humans had taken what the Aether thought was weakness and transformed it into the ultimate advantage, Vran reported frantically. "Elder, their shields. Our weapons cannot penetrate them. Every system we attack adapts instantly. They are evolving." Kalth shook his head slowly. "Not evolving, perfectly designed. Humanity has learned faster, adapted faster, and outsmarted us at every turn. And now their advantage is clear. Intelligence, patience, precision. That is how they dominate." The Aether fleet attempted a coordinated counterattack. Weapons flared, engines burned, shields pulsed. Yet every strike was anticipated, every maneuver countered. Small human ships struck at key systems, not to destroy, but to teach. Every move dismantled the alien confidence bit by bit. Vreth's fear turned to desperation. "We are powerless against them. We cannot fight what we cannot predict. They are everywhere at once." Kalth's eyes were cold, unwavering. "We are learning. Observe, survive. And remember, the human advantage is patience, intelligence, and preparation. This is what we face, and the Empire must adapt or fall." Across the battlefield, the humans continued their silent advance. Ships blinked into new positions, pulses struck at non-critical systems, and formations shifted with flawless coordination. The Aether fleet, mighty and proud, felt the first real taste of uncertainty, fear, and awe. Captain Elias watched silently. "Let them see it. The myth is real. The humans are no longer unseen, and soon they will understand the cost of mocking a race that survived every failure, every disaster, every challenge. We are ready, and the advantage is ours." The Aether fleet, trapped in a battlefield of intellect, patience, and precision, realized too late that the humans they had mocked were not weak, not fragile, and not mythical. They were something far more dangerous, unstoppable. For the first time in centuries, the Empire tasted fear. And humanity, patient and silent, waited for the moment when the full advantage would be revealed, and the sky above the Aether Empire would finally fill with the ships of a race once dismissed as myth. The Aether fleet hovered above Earth, confident, proud, and certain of victory. But beneath that pride, a creeping unease spread like a shadow. For days, humans had demonstrated abilities that defied understanding, small vessels appearing and disappearing at impossible speeds, energy pulses striking without warning, and systems failing at critical moments. The Empire had faced countless civilizations, but nothing had ever prepared them for this. Elder Kelth paced the bridge of the flagship. His claws tapped lightly against the console as he studied the holographic display, mapping the movements of hundreds of small, fast-moving vessels. Each ship was invisible to most sensors, yet they appeared in perfect coordination, striking at the Aether fleet's weaknesses with surgical precision. "They are everywhere," muttered Vreth, his voice trembling. "We cannot predict them. We cannot fight them. How is this possible?" "They are humans," Kelth said quietly, "and we have underestimated them for far too long." Vran, the fleet scout, reported urgently, "Elder, multiple energy signatures approaching. They are concentrating on Cruiser 7 and Cruiser 12. Our shields cannot hold for long. Their speed, coordination, and precision, it is beyond anything we have faced." Kelth narrowed his eyes. "They are not attacking recklessly. They are preparing, observing, waiting for the right moment. And that moment will change everything." Vreth's laughter had vanished. Panic spread through the officers. Every maneuver seemed anticipated. Every weapon strike countered. The humans were no longer invisible. They were untouchable, everywhere at once, and in perfect harmony. Captain Elias, aboard the human command ship, observed calmly. Hundreds of human vessels remained hidden, cloaked in shadows, waiting. Every move of the Aether fleet was tracked, every system scanned. Humans had studied centuries of alien behavior, anticipated their strategies, and now controlled the battlefield without firing a full salvo. "Patience," Elias murmured. "Let them feel safe. Let them believe in their strength. The turning point is near." The humans had already disabled critical systems on several Aether ships. Engines faltered. Communications scrambled. Weapons misfired. The Empire's fleet, once confident in its power, now floundered. Vreth's fear turned to desperation. "They are controlling us. Every move we make, they know it. Every tactic predicted." Kelth's voice was calm but firm. "Observe. Learn. Survive. The human's advantage is not raw power. It is patience, intelligence, and preparation. That is their strength. And that is why this battle will turn." The human fleet began a subtle advance. Hundreds of vessels blinked into visibility, surrounding sections of the Aether formation. Energy pulses struck with perfect timing, disabling shields just long enough to expose weak points, then vanishing before retaliation could occur. Every strike was deliberate, teaching the aliens their limitations. Vran's voice trembled. "Elder, they're ships. They adapt to every attack. Every shield we fire at them, countered. Every maneuver predicted. We are trapped." Kelth did not answer immediately. He studied the display, noting the patterns forming across the battlefield. The humans had taken advantage of the Empire's arrogance, turning their strength against them. Patience, precision, and intelligence had become weapons more powerful than any blaster or missile. Vreth swallowed hard. "We cannot fight them, not now. We are powerless against them." Kelth's eyes remained on the holographic map. "We are not powerless. We are learning. Humanity has revealed their strength. Now we must adapt or perish. And the turning point is just beginning." Then, without warning, the humans revealed the next phase of their strategy. Small vessels darted ahead, striking at critical systems across the fleet. Engines failed, weapon systems froze. Defensive shields collapsed temporarily. Every strike was precise, non-lethal, yet terrifying in its effectiveness. The Aether officers realized they were witnessing the full measure of human strategy. Control without destruction, intimidation without aggression. Vreth's skin flickered in shades of panic. This is impossible. How can they strike without firing fully? How can they control the battlefield without showing their true power? Kalth's gaze hardened. It is not impossible. It is the human advantage. Every failure in there, history, every disaster, every conflict, has trained them for this moment. They turn what we perceive as weakness into a weapon of intellect and strategy. The Aether fleet attempted a coordinated counterattack. Weapons flared, shields pulsed, engines burned at maximum output. Yet every move was anticipated, every maneuver neutralized. Small human ships struck key points with precision, not to destroy, but to teach. Every correction the aliens made was countered. Vreth's voice broke. We are being outmaneuvered. Every tactic fails. Every weapon fails. They are ghosts. Kalth's claws rested on the console. Observe, adapt, survive. Humanity's strength is patience and precision, and now the turning point is here. The humans moved again. Hundreds of vessels blinked into new positions, forming perfect formations around the Aether fleet. Energy. Fields shimmered, reflecting sensors and scrambling targeting systems. Each ship moved with uncanny intelligence, anticipating every alien maneuver, creating an almost impenetrable network of control. Vreth whispered, barely audible, "They are everywhere, controlling everything, teaching us our limits." Kalth's voice was calm, but filled with authority. "Yes, and the Empire must learn. This is what it means to face a race that has survived every failure, adapted every weakness, and mastered patience as a weapon." Across the battlefield, Captain Elias observed every reaction. The Empire believes they are in control. Let them feel it. Before the turning point strikes. Then, the humans revealed their full advantage. A massive vessel, larger and more advanced than any Aether ship, appeared before the flagship. Smaller vessels formed a protective grid around it, moving in perfect synchronization. The humans had finally revealed a portion of their hidden strength. Vreth gasped. They are real, and stronger than we imagined." Kalth's eyes narrowed. "This is humanity. Not myth, not legend, real, powerful, patient, strategic. And now, the Aether Empire faces the first true turning point in its history." The fleet scrambled to respond. Officers shouted orders. Shields flared, weapons charged, engines burned fuel at maximum. Yet the humans remained untouchable, slipping through every defense, striking only when they chose, and disappearing before retaliation could occur. Vreth's fear became panic. We cannot fight them. We are powerless. How? How can fragile humans control us like this?" Kalth's eyes were cold, unwavering. "We are not powerless. We are learning, observe, survive. Humanity's advantage is patience, intelligence, and preparation. And now, they have shown it." The humans continued their silent advance. Ships blinked into new positions, pulses struck at non-critical systems, and formations shifted with flawless coordination. The Aether fleet, mighty and proud, felt the first real taste of uncertainty, fear, and awe. Captain Elias smiled faintly. "Soon," he whispered, "they will understand. Soon, the Empire will know the cost of underestimating humanity." The turning point is now. The Empire's pride had been shattered, its confidence undermined, and the humans, patient and silent, waited for the moment when the full advantage would be revealed, and the sky above the Aether Empire would finally fill with ships, and the myth would become reality. The Aether fleet hovered above Earth, their confidence still unbroken on the surface. Hundreds of ships stretched across space, weapons glowing, engines humming, their soldiers certain that victory was inevitable. Yet beneath that pride, a creeping unease had taken root. For days, humans had revealed themselves in fragments, small vessels, appearing and vanishing at impossible speeds. energy pulses striking with perfect timing, and systems faltering under unseen pressure. Elder Calth stood on the bridge of the flagship, claws resting lightly on the console. His gaze was fixed on the holographic display, tracking hundreds of human ships moving with precision, intelligence, and patience. Every attempt to predict their actions had failed. Every maneuver the Aether fleet attempted had been anticipated and countered. "They are everywhere," Vreth muttered, voice trembling. "We cannot fight them. We cannot predict them." "How is this possible?" "They are humans," Calth replied softly. "And we have underestimated them for centuries. That was our first mistake, and it may be our last." Vran, the fleet scout, reported urgently, "Elder, energy readings show hundreds more human vessels appearing beyond Earth's orbit. They are forming multiple layers of formations. Shields adapting, weapons synchronized. They are preparing for a full strike." Calth's claws gripped the console tightly. "Prepare the fleet. Focus on survival, observation, and adaptation. Humanity's patience has been our lesson. Now we face the turning point." Vreth's fear became panic. "Turning point? This is madness. They are everywhere, controlling the battle, showing us our weakness. We are trapped." Calth's eyes remained fixed on the display. "Not trapped. Observing, learning. Humanity's advantage is patience, intelligence, and preparation. And now, they strike." Across the battlefield, humans moved silently. Hundreds of ships blinked into new positions. Small vessels darting past alien formations, striking systems with precise, calculated pulses. Engines faltered. Shields collapsed. Communications failed. The Empire, mighty and proud, felt the first real taste of fear. Captain Elias, aboard the human command ship, watched the chaos unfold with calm satisfaction. Hundreds of vessels remained hidden, cloaked in shadows, waiting. "Now," he whispered, "the time to strike has come. Let them see the full force of humanity." The humans did not rush. They had no need. Their advantage lay in patience, in observation, in intelligence. Every strike was precise, every movement calculated, every system targeted with surgical precision. The Aether fleet, confident and arrogant, began to falter under the invisible pressure. Vreth turned to Calth, desperation in his eyes. We cannot fight them. Every tactic fails. Every weapon fails. How can fragile humans control us like this?" Calth's voice was calm but firm. "We are not powerless. We are learning. Observe, survive, and adapt. Humanity's advantage is strategy, patience, and precision. And now, the final stage begins." Then, without warning, a massive human vessel emerged in front of the flagship. Its energy fields shimmered like living light, impenetrable and brilliant. Smaller vessels flanked it, forming a protective grid. This was the spearhead of the human fleet, a concentration of power designed not for destruction alone, but to break the will of the Empire. Vreth gasped. They are real and stronger than we imagined." Calth studied the massive vessel carefully. "This is humanity. Not myth. Not legend. Real, powerful, patient, strategic. And now, they reveal their full force." The human ships moved in perfect synchronization, striking at weak points with calculated pulses. Systems on multiple Aether ships failed simultaneously. Shields collapsed, engines sputtered, weapons misfired. The aliens scrambled to respond, but every move was anticipated. Every correction played into the humans' hands. Vreth trembled. We are powerless. Their speed, their precision. Our weapons cannot touch them. They control the battlefield." Calth's claws rested on the console. "Observe, learn, survive. Humanity has turned our pride into our weakness. Every step we take, they have already accounted for. And now they strike fully." Across the battlefield, Hundreds more human vessels blinked into existence, moving faster than sensors could track. Energy pulses struck critical systems with surgical precision. The Alpha fleet, once the image of invincibility, now struggled to maintain formation. Officers shouted orders, weapons fired, shields flared, but nothing could match the humans' precision. Captain Elias observed silently. They believe they are in control. Let them feel it. Before the full force is unleashed, the turning point had arrived. Humans revealed the full scale of their fleet. Thousands of vessels appeared beyond detection, forming perfect formations around the Empire's strongest ships. Energy shields pulsed, reflecting sensors and scrambling targeting systems. Every ship moved with uncanny intelligence, anticipating every alien maneuver, creating an almost impenetrable web of control. Vreth whispered, barely audible. They are everywhere, controlling everything. Teaching us our limits. Kalf's voice was calm but filled with authority. Yes, and the Empire must learn. Humanity's advantage is patience, intelligence, and preparation. And now, the Empire faces the consequences of mocking a myth. Then, the humans struck the first full salvo. Energy pulses cascaded across the Alpha fleet, targeting engines, weapons, and shields simultaneously. Ships faltered. Formation broke. Communications failed. Panic spread like wildfire. The mighty Empire, confident in centuries of power, now faced chaos orchestrated by a race they had dismissed as myth. Vreth's skin flickered in shades of panic. We are losing. Their coordination, speed, strategy, it is unstoppable. How can fragile humans defeat us? Kalf's voice remained steady. We are not defeated. Yet, we survive. We learn. Humanity's advantage is intellect and patience, and they have shown it in full. Adapt or perish. The human fleet advanced further, overwhelming the Alphas. Defensive lines. Pulses struck simultaneously at multiple targets, exploiting weaknesses in shields and engines. Alien ships fell into disarray, their formations collapsing under the weight of precision and planning. The myth that humans were weak, fragile, insignificant had been destroyed in moments. Vreth's fear became despair. They are everywhere. They control everything. Our Empire, our fleet, powerless. Kalf remained focused. Observe, survive, learn. Humanity has shown the Empire's vulnerability. And now the full force is upon us. Across the battlefield, Captain Elias issued his final commands. Engage fully, strike precisely. Let the Empire witness the cost of underestimating humanity. Show them what a myth can do. Hundreds of vessels struck in unison, disabling key systems across the fleet. Capital ships faltered, cruisers spun out of control, and weapons misfired. The Alpha Empire, mighty and proud, experienced the devastating power of a race once mocked, now unstoppable. Vreth gasped. We are defeated by myth. Kalf's voice was calm but firm. Not defeated yet, but humbled. Humanity has revealed the cost of arrogance, and the Empire will remember it. The humans did not cease their assault. Ships blinked into new positions, targeting every vulnerable system. The Alpha fleet struggled to maintain cohesion, overwhelmed by precision, patience, and intelligence. Every reaction they attempted was anticipated. Every advantage they believed they held was neutralized. Finally, after hours of silent but relentless control, the humans struck the final blow. Energy pulses disabled the Alpha command vessels. Shields collapsed, communications failed. Engines died. The flagship spun helplessly in space, a symbol of a mighty empire humbled by a species it had dismissed as myth. Captain Elias watched from the bridge of the command ship. It is done, he said softly. The Empire has learned, and the myth is real. Humanity survives, humanity strikes, and humanity wins. Across the battlefield, The remnants of the Aether fleet struggled to regroup. Officers whispered in disbelief. Soldiers stared at the empty void where their ships had once moved with pride. The Empire had been humbled, defeated not by brute force alone, but by patience, strategy, and precision. Vreth's voice was broken. How could fragile humans do this? How could myth strike so hard? Kelth's claws rested on the console. Observe, learn, survive. That is the lesson. The myth is real, and the Empire will remember it. As the humans returned to the shadows, hiding their full strength, the stars above Earth remained calm once more. But the galaxy had witnessed the impossible. A species long mocked, dismissed, and underestimated had revealed its power. Humanity had struck, and the Aether Empire had learned the true meaning of the word myth. For centuries, the tale would be told. A warning to all who underestimated the small, the fragile, the forgotten. Humanity was no longer a story. Humanity was real, and when they struck, the universe would never doubt them again.